Okay, I'm not a chef, but I'm just going to show you how to chop onions. I'm letting you know now that knives are sharp, they can hurt you, so be careful. This is specifically to show Zuzana how to chop an onion without chopping her finger, and show her some pointers and some things I've learned from people I know who actually work in the food service business. The first thing I'll talk about are my knives, what I use to chop with, because I noticed on every video you use small knives that I've seen you cut up, and they're serrated, and I don't use serrated knives, and I usually use pretty big knives. But I'll go over all that, and let's get started. This is a meat cleaver. This cost a whopping $7. This is a Japanese made knife. It's been well used. I don't know if you guys can't see the wear on the blade, but it's been well used. That was $7. This Japanese blade was $4, and the holes are supposed to make it easier to chop vegetables. This is my big knife. This is my expensive knife. It cost a whopping $12, and I think it's just because of so much steel. And it's full tang, as all of them are. If you look at the handle, it goes all the way to the end. This was a $4 knife I picked up in Spain, but it is a Toledo, although I don't know if we can actually make it out. Toledo. Then of course we have a steel for sharpening these blades. I don't believe in using really expensive knives because these all work very well and they're not very expensive. I really don't need even this many. I could get away probably with this knife and one of these two. I do like this for cutting avocados and things like that. So, hello, I'm John, and I'm sitting here getting ready to make a salad. And I'm going to cut some onions. And everyone has told Zuzana how to cut some onions, but I'm going to show her the tricks to not cutting yourself when you chop onions. Of course, if I cut myself, I'm editing that part out. First of all, we start with the knives. I don't use expensive knives, but I noticed when the videos you showed, you had a very small serrated knife. What I use a very large knife to chop with, and I'll show you why that's important. And I use straight blades because I can sharpen them. So let's get going, and we will chop some onions. Since I assume you don't want to spend a lot of time cutting onions, because it's not a hobby, that way you won't have to cry. Now you notice I've left the skin on, and there's a reason for that. I can waste a lot of time peeling it, or I can simply cut the top, peel that away, cut the onion in half, and then peel away the layers that I'm not going to use. Now I have a flat surface, the onion doesn't slide, there's no reason to cut myself. If you'll notice, I use this as a pivot point for the knife. I'm chopping this up kind of small for the salad, so in this particular case, it goes very quickly. And then of course I can go back and cut smaller. Ta-da! Very easy, very quick, painless, and you'll notice no blood. Now if you want to slice them in bigger pieces, obviously you can. And if you want to make rings so they look pretty, or you're making something where you actually need the rings, there's another little tip I'll show you. If you need to have fairly ringed, you want the whole ring of the onion for whatever reason, which I rarely do. If you take your onion like so, you cut a very small part off, you now have a flat surface, and you will still have the rings for the onion. But it's nice and stable, and it doesn't roll, and I'm not going to cut myself. So in a nutshell, that's it for onions. I did want to show you one other thing about using such a large knife when you're cutting things like carrots. The concept of using that pivot point, you want to hold the carrot so you don't cut yourself. You want to make a bit of a claw so that if you get hit with the knife, it hits above and doesn't pinch your finger, in which case you can slice all the way down and simply have whatever you want sliced, diced. It's really pretty, it's really easy. Again, basically what you're doing, you're using the point of the blade as a pivot point, and you work your way down. And that steadies the blade as you steady the vegetable with the other hand, no problems. And again, no blood. And I didn't even have to edit it out.